What is happening, everybody? I'm glad that you are here with All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. Today's going to be an awesome show, man. I love this guest. We've known each other for a long time, but we've really never had a chance to just get down and share a little real time. So you're just going to be a fly on the wall for all of it. Feel free to chat if you would like. But before you even get started with that, do me a favor. If you're coming from any place else other than YouTube, youtube.com/@accesskevin will allow you to subscribe to the channel. I would love it if you like this video. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. You'll be notified about all the upcoming guests, some of which are just incredible, man. Tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. GMT +1 Netherlands time, I've got Delana, best known for her Rockstar Supernova time, one of the most incredible singers and performers I've ever been in a band with. Also next week, I've got Bigfoot documentary filmmaker Brett Eichenberger and Jennifer Batten and Jonathan Joseph will be coming on talking about their time with Jeff Beck. A lot of great guests, man. Mark Ferrari, incredible guitarist. So speaking of guitars, do me a favor and go to the link below. Go to 5starguitars.com/all-access-live. Everything you see there is specially priced for people watching this channel. So you'll also have the opportunity when you check out to use the promo code of All Access 15, which saves you 15% off of everything you see. And if you're outside the Oregon area and you want to play guitar, you better order from them because there's no sales tax in Oregon. So you save by no sales tax. You save 15% off everything you see. They do repairs. They do lessons from incredible artists like, again, Jennifer Batten. And they've been incredibly supportive of the show. So please support them. Let them know that I sent you. And again, don't forget to subscribe. Today's guest, phenomenal guitarist, incredible frontman. He is a hero in the Northwest area, all the way from his studio in Salem, Oregon. I've got Joel Kinney. How you doing, Joel? He's there. It looks like we had a little bit of a lockup on the internet connection. One sec here, guys. He's there, I promise. He froze. Hey, Joel, if you see this, leave the room. Come right back in, all right? Hey, you know what? Sometimes we've had this happen before. You know, if the internet connection is a little bit clogged up and there's just only so much room for me. So when he comes back in here, we're going to bring it back in. And again, make sure that you check out accesskevin.com for my upcoming guests. I just had Brad Lang from Bullet Boys on yesterday. Delana is on tomorrow. And Mark Ferrari and Jennifer Batten will all be on next week. So phenomenal guests. I think this is episode 306. So you can go back and look at 305 other episodes. And right there, I've got Joel Kinney. How you doing, buddy?
Right as the countdown comes, I just lose all connectivity.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, I'm glad that you're here, buddy. That you know what? Yeah, it's good to just save the best for last, man. Your beautiful mug. Look at this. Joel Kinney, dude. Man. Salem, Oregon, man. Is there anything left in Salem, Oregon? You've got you, and Dean Castronovo. You've got Kelly Lemieux from Buck Cherry. You've got
Yeah.
Dane Ryan. All these amazing musicians,
Yeah.
in that area. And you probably have gigged with all these guys, huh?
I shouldn't even be mentioned in their in this list,
Well,
to be honest with you. These guys are all just so accomplished. It's unbelievable.
they are, but yeah, you. I think the first time I met you was at an event that Dean was also doing down in Salem.
That's
Everybody knows
right.
Dean Castronovo, of course, from Journey. He's been on the show
Right.
before, but he did so much more before that. So tell me, you grew up in Salem, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, man. The origins of a lot of crazy rock stars. Tell me about your early days so we get to know you a little better.
Yeah. So it's funny. I saw Dean. The first time I ever saw Wild Dogs was in a backyard. Actually, it was a party out on Skyline Road. And we were all, I think we were freshmen in high school, and it was like back when they had keggers.
Yeah.
And God,
Did
they
they
were
not have those anymore?
No, it's
Oh,
just crazy. I think it got busted at some point. I do remember this. The PA caught on fire on one side,
oh my God.
and the one those you remember those giant Altec Lansing
Oh,
horns? Somebody threw the sound tech runs up and throws a beer into the horn to put the fire out. It was awesome.
oh my God. As somebody who runs an audio company, I'm sure that is
Oh yeah.
the biggest fear, right? Is all your
The
stuff gets
biggest
destroyed.
fear. But yeah, so growing up, man, it was just, I it said in my bio, it's like played acoustic guitar in the 5th grade, and loved I got to tell you, my original origins of what made me fall in love with music. I went to Hazel Green Elementary School way out,
Okay.
and they had this band from Whitaker came, and they had like a little kind of a rock group, thing going on, this little jazz thing. And they had this guitar player played through this little Fender amp, and he had a little guitar solo. And it was just really this Chuck Berry-esque.
Yeah.
There
We lo-
we go. I'm
yeah,
here. All
we
right.
lost you again for a second. You were just launching into your guitar solo right there, but I lost you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it, he played this thing, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I watched how the kids went nuts. And I'm just like, I saw the power in that.
Yeah.
And that's when I just went, I
So
want
the
to do that.
reaction of the other kids, besides your own feeling, because you are like a consummate showman, right? You're a performer, not just a musician, but you're a
Well,
performer. So you could tell that was what part really attracted you.
well, yeah, because I was not a natural. I don't probably want to get into this. I was not a natural musician. Nobody in my family is, but I'm a natural show off.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because I struggled and struggled and struggled. Music is not. I don't have a natural voice. I don't play guitar. It is very difficult for me. And
Really?
yeah, it's never been natural. And I always agonized over those guys that, man, they could just play effortlessly.
Yeah.
They picked, everything was just natural and easy. Paul Gilbert's like that.
Oh my God.
Watching his interviews, right? He's like, it just was so natural to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
you bastard.
Well, the dude spent thousands and thousands of hours,
Yeah.
man. But
But
yeah.
you also know there's mechanics in it.
Yeah.
There's mechanics.
Sure.
You either have those mechanics or you don't. But aside from the actual musical skill, because I knew that was like beyond me, what appealed to me was creating that thing and making the crowd go crazy.
Yeah.
And then just the reaction, and then seeing I think the thing that got me was the joy on everybody's face.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that is rock and roll for sure. Different genres of rock and roll had sort of different representation, but being in an 80s pop band, right? Excuse me. The thing that I love the most is knowing that those people are there to forget everything else in their life, right? They don't worry about politics or their taxes or their kids or whatever.
No.
They just get to escape. And rock and roll allows you that opportunity. Knowing you and your, fanaticism with Van Halen, perfect example, right? And the showman part of it. David Lee Roth gets panned all the time for not having a good voice, but it didn't matter what kind of voice that guy had, because that guy was put on this planet to be a front man in a band. There's only one thing he should be doing, right?
Right.
It's not politics, but
No, and that was the big appeal.
Yeah.
And I always thought back in those days, that's going to be my only saving grace, because it certainly was not my musical. Because like I said, man, 5th grade when I started taking guitar lessons, man, these kids are finger picking just flawlessly. I'm just struggling so badly with it. I'm like, am I ever going to get there? Kevin, I remember when we finally put a band together, and we started gigging, and in high school, early high school. I used to get these panic attacks, man. When we would go on, I was so just tense, man. I was gassed by the first song.
Really?
And
Just stop breathing?
yeah, okay, almost ready to lose my voice, just completely paralyzed by the fear. Now it's people are like, "Oh, are you nervous?" And like, I never get nervous now. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm nervous right before that Eddie Van Halen guitar solo that I didn't get to
Yeah.
spend enough time on that week. I get
Yeah.
nervous right there, but
Really? Okay.
the show doesn't make, but in
Yeah.
those days I'd be paralyzed with fear, right? And I'll tell you, it was because the music part was not natural, but the show was natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about the solos, and I think about that a lot. Actually, I never play drum solos anymore. I used to, and it was kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
bands, and I looked forward to it. I have no interest in doing them anymore. And honestly, I love people's technical proficiency, but I don't really care to see drum solos live at a big show anymore either. It's like,
Well,
okay,
there's only so many.
yeah,
I think you probably are. You probably, like everybody else, are blown away at that. Is he from like Argentina or Brazil?
oh yeah,
The
right,
guy does all the one hand.
yeah,
Okay,
Mario,
you can
yeah,
watch him all
yeah.
day long, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like he's blistering chops, and he's got the showman part of it all as well. And I don't really think of him as a soloist. He can do it all, but right. But what he does is like, Olympics for drums.
Right,
But
right.
but as far as like drummers and guitarists, somebody that just plays everything across the board. You and I were chatting a bunch before about Eddie Van Halen. I think I saw you at the Mammoth show, didn't I? Up in Portland a couple months ago.
No,
You were
I
there.
missed it. No,
Okay.
no,
Because
no.
that was one of the greatest shows I've seen in a
Uh,
decade. I couldn't believe it. That guy, of course, man, he has the familial traits that he got from
yeah,
his
it's
dad.
in the DNA, right?
And even like the newest record is so good. Everything, the entire record is so
Yeah,
good, from drums, guitar, bass, like the harmonies and the melodies. The melodies are
and the
so
songs,
good.
and the
The songs are
songs.
incredible.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
his show, he was humble at the show. He just took a lot of he takes a lot of heat online, and I like that he didn't take himself seriously. He was joking around a lot on stage and really took the showmanship part of of rock and roll and just made it. He didn't make it a sideshow. It was a performance. And so, with that being said, I know that you just got done with this marathon Van Halen tribute event down in
yeah,
Salem, and then you got
yeah,
another thing coming up as well, man. So,
yeah.
let's take care of some business and tell me about that a little bit, and then we'll wrap.
Okay, which part you want to talk about, the show coming up or the Van Halen
The one
show?
that's coming up, yeah. Tell me, like, promote this a little bit.
Yeah, so we're at the Grand Theater is kind of a historic old vaudeville theater in downtown Salem that, excuse me, has been I think around turn of the century is when it was built, and it used to be where they used to do the Portland wrestling crew would come
Oh,
through, and back in the '80s they would do Portland wrestling there. But all through the '80s, like that's kind of where we all cut our teeth. That's where all the
yeah,
heavy metal bands did their shows. Lubansky did his big show
right.
there, and what was it? Lemieux's band Harlot.
Oh,
They
wow.
did their big shows there, and Saint, and we opened for Saint, and then it was just this black hole old vaudeville theater that is just, it was just spooky and creepy, but it was really cool, like 300 some seat theater with a
Okay.
balcony and everything. Really cool. Well, a few years ago, it was purchased by this family that opened Enlightened Theatrics in it, and it was a theater, and they did Broadway shows there, and it was amazing. And they did this massive renovation. Well, they're no, I don't think they're doing plays there anymore. But these two brothers, the Hussey brothers, they took it over, and now they're promoting all the J Fell shows there, And
Yeah.
so there's tons of stuff happening, but it is so beautiful inside. It's this condensed, really cool theater, like kind of a la. I don't even think there's anything like it in Portland. I
Maybe
would
the
say the
Star?
Hawthorne, but not really, because it is definitely, you walk in, you go, this is definitely an old vaudeville theater.
Nice. Yeah.
It's got the really steep balcony in the top with the kind of bench seats up there.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a really cool venue. They've got full PA light, killer light rig. So I'm kind of excited about this show because I don't have to take in the production that JP
Yeah.
normally has to take in.
And you guys do bring a lot of stuff, man. It's
We bring a
crazy.
lot, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, that goes back to the Van Halen thing. It's like, I got to tell you about Van Halen. My first Van Halen show was, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, was 1981. It was the second show. The first show sold out June 8th, sold out, and then it was June 9th. And we got tickets for the second show. And I remember going to that, and I'd never been to a concert before. That was my first concert ever, other than Jan and Dean at the fairgrounds.
Really?
Right?
So
yeah.
Van Halen.
Yeah, 8th grade.
Is that Women, Children First?
No, Fair Warning. Which, if you're gonna see your first concert, I mean,
my God, my favorite record. I mean, honestly, that's by far my favorite Van Halen record.
When you see the meme, it's like you could have been born in any time in human history, and you were born during Van Halen. I mean, of all the shows, I was in the 8th grade. Went with my buddy Jeff Thomas. Begged my cousin to drive us because he was like 22. He's like, I don't want to hang out with these freaking 13-year-old kids.
Yeah.
But when they came out, I remember the sound in the Coliseum was so bad.
Yeah.
The only show I ever saw there that sounded good, I was about 11th row for Iron Maiden Saxon Fastway.
Wow. Nice.
83, I think. 83.
I see Larry Toering's in the chat right now, and I know he was probably at that show.
Everybody was there.
Yeah.
But I was 11th row, and it was Power and the Glory tour for Saxon. Which Saxon was one of my favorite groups.
Amazing.
And it was Peace of Mind. Peace of Mind, God. Power and the Glory, and the new Fastway record. Right? Okay. And they all killed. But I remember how great it sounded when you were on the floor in front of the stage. Yeah. But the Coliseum was so boomy. So I was really disappointed in the quality of the sound when Fair Warning, seeing the Fair Warning tour, the sound was terrible.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that Dave would kind of all of his vocal lines, he kind of wait till the end and then he sort of blah, 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 throw the words in. But they brought everything. Yeah. And I remember looking, that was when I realized if I'm going to ever be in a band, I'm going to bring all the lights, all the stage clothes, all the Marshalls, all the guitar. I mean, and I could never go back. Like I could never be the guy with the little amp on the chair now. I mean, the genie's out of the bottle, right? I mean,
okay. Well, let me tell you something about that. Here's what impressed me about the Mammoth show. Mammoth had Nita Strauss's band come in, right? So Nita plays with Alice Cooper. She's an incredible show person, and met her. She's a phenomenal player. And I'm just going to say this, her drummer, Glenn, in Alice's band is one of my best friends. And so, Glenn, if you see this, because I called you during the show. To me, this was kind of an embarrassment. Nita shows up with her band, and they brought so much gear into the Roseland. And that isn't the embarrassing part. They brought tiers of stuff. They brought their own scaffolding and trusses and lights and a keyboard stand that had lights over the top. The drummer, okay, I'm trying to think of the way to say this nicely. I texted Glenn. I was like, dude, tell me the story. And he goes, well, boyfriend's the drummer in the band. Boyfriend is Nita's drummer and the manager of the band. Okay.
That's how he got the gig.
They do the show. And they have all this production, and they're pumped full of roids, man. They got their tank tops on, and I'm with a buddy, and we're looking at each other, and we're like, they went to Hot Topic for outfits before they came to the show. That's what it looked like. They were at the mall. They finished the show, and all the guys are carrying their own gear. They trussing and all this stuff off. Wolfgang comes out to do the Mammoth show. They roll out a Oriental rug where he puts his pedals down. Drummers on flat riser. Everybody's they're showing up in t-shirt and jeans.
Right.
And he killed it. They
Yeah,
didn't need any production, and he
right,
came out
right,
and
right,
just he did it because I think I'm just speculating, but so many people have dogged him about, oh well, you live on the laurels of your dad, right? He
right,
wanted to come out and just play and sing and have fun with this thing, the greatest show. And he embarrassed the opening act. You know, they were so animated, and it was just like they tried so hard, and it wasn't a fun show. It was really, and I think separately, like when she's with Alice Cooper, it's the perfect thing. And she kills it. It's
right,
awesome.
right,
And
right.
but Wolfgang would embarrass most bands, I think, because he just had it together. So that was super cool.
Oh,
But
yeah. No, but see, that's the thing, right? It's like, I mean, again, my lack of musicianship is why I bring all the whole
no, you
show,
say
right?
that. You say
Well,
that. I mean,
I'm just,
there people know and expect to have these stacks of Marshalls when they see JFK play. They expect to have it be a big production, but you're a killer player, bro. And
oh man.
you talk at your vocals too, and I don't think you need to hide behind anything. I think you can tell you really pay attention to detail. It's fun to watch. We haven't even talked about JFK, so you front this band that's really a phenomenal band in Salem,
Oh,
and
thanks,
you've
man.
got a great following, and people follow you like family.
Oh,
So
yeah. And it is the whole, it's such a cool symbiotic thing with the audience too, because it is kind of like a big family. It's a big community.
yeah, yeah. Well, like I mean, guys that have been in the band, but yeah, the crowd and the people that come, they want to be a part of your show. I could see them supporting, and they promote your stuff online. You've got the show coming up at the Grand Theater. What's the date on it?
Yeah, yeah. So March 2nd, 8 o'clock to 10 p.m. We're the only band.
Okay.
And we're going to do all those, when we pick our set list, I always want to do the B-side stuff that nobody ever does, right?
Yeah. Right.
So when we do the AC/DC stuff, we're not going to do Highway to Hell. We're not going to do You Shook Me
Sure.
All Night Long. We're going to do Rock and Roll Damnation. We're going to do
No.
Love at First Feel. We're going to do,
Oh.
maybe a little Riff Raff and,
Oh, great.
Rosie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Van Halen
Right.
stuff. We're going to do Jamie's Crying, Dance the Night Away, Cradle
Nice.
Will Rock. We're going to do stuff that nobody does,
Wow.
Yeah, we're not
Give me
going
your
to
best
do,
David.
You Really Got Me. What's that?
Yeah. I want to hear your best David Lee Roth.
Oh, yeah, I can do a little bit of that. No, when we opened for Dave Lee Roth, Thunder Jelly did back in '94.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, at the Roseland. It was right after his first Vegas show, and he's out there for sound check. And do you remember Mick? Mick used to do sound. What was Mick's last name?
Mick Boyd.
Yeah, Mick Boyd. He would mix all of the Roseland shows, right?
Yeah.
And Mick did such a great job. And he's down
Amazing.
front, and we're doing sound checking him up there. And oh my God, there's Dave Lee Roth. He's like on this mountain bike. He's just down by the mixing console. And we finish the sound check, and I walk down. He just sitting there, and he's just still looking at me. I'm like, oh shit. So I come down the side of the stage, and I walk out, and this was like our first real national act opening show. At the Roseland, because we'd been doing all those $5 things.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so it was the first one. And so we go out, and I walk up to him, and I go, Mr. Roth, I'm Joel Kinney. I just thank you so much for having us. You remember Double T, right?
Yeah, of course.
T,
Still there.
So yeah. So they asked him. They were trying to figure out what opening acts, and they pitched this band called Thunder Jelly, and the management loved the name, and so they're like, and at that time, we're going to probably talk the music scene at that in the Northwest. Now it's changed, but
yeah,
everything was really either really dark or kind of a Nirvana knockoff.
Sure.
And we kind of were in that middle sort of thing. We could kind of fit with most of the classics, right? Because we were kind of a King's Xe, Black Crowes, Lenny Kravitz kind of a thing. And but anyway, he had said, Thunder Jelly. Oh, well, the name like that, they got back to me. They said, yeah, that'd work. But I walk down front, and I walk over to him, and I go, Mr. Roth, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity for letting us open for you. And I go, you're just, Van Halen is my biggest influence ever. And he goes, well, Joel, I'm glad to hear that. Hope I hear some of that influence tonight.
Oh,
is what he said.
That is so good.
So there's my Dave Lee Roth. There's my Dave Lee Roth for you, man.
You even had the shoulders going right there. That was impressive,
Yeah,
man.
Yo Joel. Yeah.
God,
Bottle of Scooby Wah, right?
he is something
But
else,
yeah,
man.
but yeah,
That
we're playing back to the Grand. We're playing the Grand this Saturday, and the tickets in advance, or you can get them at the door as well. But
okay.
the link's on my Facebook page.
All
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah, can't
man.
wait. It's our first theater show in decades. So
Really? Okay. Well, yeah,
yeah,
you've done a lot
yeah,
of
we were just
outdoor.
playing tons of outdoor. Just we were playing bars
Yeah.
forever, and we finally stopped doing the bars. And then there's a great venue, and this is where you and I finally had met, was at the Yard, the food
Yep.
park in
That's
Salem, where
right.
we do the Van Halen thing. That is it's so funny. It'll be like January, right? And people are like, "Well, where are you guys playing outside?" I'm like, "No, it's January in
Right.
Oregon. Are you kidding?" No, it's this incredible indoor venue.
Right.
It
Yeah.
is such a great venue,
It is a
and the
cool spot.
sound in there is amazing.
And well, it
Yeah.
probably helps that Apex brings in the sound too, right? So is that
Yeah, that helps
yeah.
too. Bringing in a real PA, But yeah, we kind of stopped playing the bars, and because bars are just a hassle
Yeah.
too. We do have a bar show coming up, shockingly, but it's a kind of a special one-off at a place in town called the Honky Tonk. It's an old country
The honky
bar. We'll be playing there. Yeah, and
man.
we did a private party there a few months ago, and they just loved it. So
You know,
they're gonna have us back. But yeah.
there are a bunch of people in the chat here. This is really cool, man. I see Kerry Roush talking Van Halen and Larry. Of course, man. He was talking about the early days, Jansen Beach, the ice rink. But
Oh,
but
79 second tour.
yeah,
I would have killed.
hey Caleb, I see you there too. Nice to see you. You mentioned the Salem gigs and the bar gigs. That just reminded me. So I'm from Montana originally, right? So I moved out
Wait,
I'm from
Bozeman?
Bozeman. Yeah. How'd you know?
Yeah. I just know these
Yeah.
things, man.
Well,
No, Bart Barkak, who is the animated. We have 2 drummers on the Van Halen.
okay.
3 drummers this year on the Van Halen show. But Bart flies in from Billings.
Oh, really? Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, well, all the bar gigs that we used to do in Montana, playing in all these bands, there was a fight every night. It was such a thing that like you would just it was honestly, I thought that's how they all were, right? And you see the old Blues Brothers movies, with the
Oh
cage.
yeah.
That was like that. I saw people fighting every night. The last time I got beat up was at a bar in Montana I was trying to protect the girl in her band. But the first gig I ever did in Oregon, I moved in '94 and played the West Side Station in Salem.
Oh, the old West Side.
First night I walked in, before we even went on, there's a huge
Oh,
brawl,
fight.
clear and fight, man. I thought, oh, I'm home. This is it, man. This is welcome to
Oh, my
Oregon.
God.
But
That is awesome. I know we probably played. Did you ever play Billings or Butte?
all the time. Anyway,
Oh yeah, when I was in a circuit band in the '80s, we used to play Billings.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I played Billings in Pocatello, Idaho.
At the Ritz, yep. And you played at Billings. You played 17 Club and Grandma's, and
Yeah.
yeah.
The 17 Club, yeah.
17 Club. I unfortunately witnessed someone's demise. It was really sad. There was a fight, and a bunch of bikers were fighting, and they had square tables. And a guy threw a table and missed this guy and hit a woman in the head, and she bled out. It was horrible, man. And I was 17 and thinking, is this really what I want my life to be? It was scary, man. It was tragic. That tough town. I mean, Butte. I was in Butte 2-3 days ago. I'll be back again in a couple of weeks. My parents are real close to there, and Jennifer Batten is actually playing in Butte, Montana on March 14th. I'm going to be back for that as well. So it's bizarre, man. Bizarre small town stuff, but.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Carrie's talking right now about these bands that had been playing at. It's really great. Carrie and Larry are both in the chat talking about the early origins of Portland music. So a lot of guys can't see this, but Carrie's talking about Todd Jensen, right, who had played with David Lee Roth.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
now out with Journey,
Yeah.
but he's got great David Lee Roth stories too, man. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, because he was in David Lee Roth. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. That can you imagine? Just the stories that Dean and Todd have behind the scenes that they can't talk about, right? But
yeah, I've heard some of them. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, it's we won't it's rock and roll, man. Speaking of rock and roll, just before we went live, you were talking about as we get older, right? How part of what seems to be expected of being in a rock and roll band is the party, right? Yesterday I had Brad Lang from Bullet Boys on, and we were talking a little bit about sobriety. He was in Y&T for a long time and left Y&T because he realized that the party became way more important than the gig.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about this, like how we know so many people, that we've played music with or that have touched our lives that have been, and their lives, if they're still around, they've either fortunately been able to get out of that, or or being able to sort of get a handle on it. Some of those people you really want so desperately for them to get out of their own way, and I'm guessing, I'm tying this in because you'd also mentioned, and I hope it's okay, you posted about your relationship with your father a couple years ago,
Yeah.
your
Right.
Father's Day thing. And I'm curious, man, because you talked about how watching this band early on when you were young, how the show part and people's reaction, how affected you and how you wanted to play music. I think about being child of an alcoholic father and how wanting attention, wanting, somebody to appreciate you, how important that is. Do you feel like that may be tied into your familial history?
Oh God, you think?
Well, I want you to tell
Oh
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's funny. My mom and dad, and this is probably why they got together. My dad was a real funny guy, and he would make my mom laugh, and I know that's why she fell in love with him. And he was kind of the life of the party kind of a
Yeah.
dude, and you know, he loved to be kind of the center of attention in kind of a fun kind of a way. He wanted to make people laugh, and he was a big servitude kind of a guy. Having that whole period there was, my dad had a lot of pressure on him in the military, and
Yeah.
so
What
that
branch?
pressure relief valve, Army, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And that pressure relief valve ended up becoming alcohol, chasing
Mhm.
women, right? Spending money we didn't have on car parts, because he was a street
Oh, wow.
rodder too. He was in the street rods.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so dad was kind of, he was, it's funny, the older I got, and I wouldn't mind unpacking this. The older I got, the more I realized how my dad was simply just self-medicating because of his traumas and wounds from his childhood, you know.
Yeah.
And as an adult, I understand that so much more
Yeah.
now. And it's something we kind of hit on the other night when we were just chatting. I found that I ended up becoming the father my dad never had
Yeah. Wow.
as
To
an
him?
adult to him.
Yeah.
And I, as an adult, and I when I moved away to LA, my dad, and when I was 19 or 20, my
Okay.
dad and I got really tight. And before that, we were not so tight because dad had divorced my mom when I was 10 and sort of just checked out. And
Yeah.
he'd been checking out consistently for a while. So going back to the whole attention seeking thing, it's like, you miss and crave and need that sort of stimulation, and you're missing the attention, and you're missing just the connection, right?
Yeah.
Especially with your peers and people you look up to and people you care about. And so dad being checked out definitely affected my desire to please people and make people happy, because it was, it's the thing you struggle with, right? You're like, is
Yeah.
it me, or is it environmental, or is it, all of those things? But once I moved down to LA, my dad and I got really tight, and suddenly he was vulnerable with me in a way that he'd never been. And I always knew he was kind of a softie, but he couldn't get out of his own way. He was an old Army master sergeant, hard drinking.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, when I came back, when I came back from LA, I went on the road and joined a circuit band, and we were playing, Billings, Montana,
Yeah.
Pocatello, Idaho, Boise, playing
Yeah.
all the clubs. And I was on the road for about a year, and our guitar player was super tight with his dad, like really tight. and I'd hear him call him on the payphone, right?
Yeah, of course.
And just listen to them tell each other that they loved each other.
Ah,
Oh my God. I was just like, wanted that so bad. So when I came off the road, my dad was roofing the house, and I helped him roof, and we would buck hay. We'd fill the barn with hay. And so we spent a lot of time sitting on the, watching the sun go down on the back of a, hay covered trailer with an ice cold Blitz Weinhardt in our hand. Right. And a lot of conversations. And when I got off the road, I decided I'm going to smother my dad with love,
oh,
and I'm just going to see what happens. And it's so funny because he completely responded. And then
really?
I became this confidant, and he now is seeking out, it's the whole cats in the cradle and the silver
Right.
spoon, right? Except I was never like, sorry, Dad, don't have time. I embraced that. And so,
Man,
yeah, and it made all the difference.
I mean, what a gift, right? For both of you guys.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that they divorced at 10, did you stay with your mom then at that point?
Yeah,
Okay.
stay with mom, because Dad
Yeah.
he just wanted to go chase
Right.
tail and
Yeah.
be at the bar, and But when my mom got remarried to another Army guy,
Oh.
moved away to Helena,
Oh
of
my
all places.
God.
Yeah,
Wow, Montana.
moved away to Helena. She finished out her military career in the Montana National Guard,
Right
and
on.
and then I moved back in with my dad at 15,
Okay.
and my dad, he just didn't have a clue how to be a
Sure.
dad. I mean, and we lived way out in the sticks, out in the Hazel Green country. And so there's no store close by, no food in the fridge. He's down at the bar.
Man.
I'm just like, thank God it's summer and there's fruit in the trees,
Right.
It was, it made me be self-sufficient though.
Did you dive way into guitar at that point? Is that where you sort of buried yourself in music?
You know what? It's funny. I didn't at that point because I was so poor, I couldn't afford one. But I poured myself into the band.
Yeah.
I was just the singer.
Okay.
And oh man, so my dad, we'd practice Tuesdays and Wednesdays in our barn in the backyard, and because we lived on a little acre. And we had a barn, an old shitty barn we used to have full of hay, and we had no longer had horses. And so me and my buddies, we renovated it and put in a plywood floor and put, blankets on the walls. And we used to practice there. And so it'd be like Wednesday night about 8:30. We're right in the middle of, Strong Arm of the Law or something
Nice.
like that. And the lights, everything would go off.
Oh,
And we're like,
no way.
and I'd hear Joel, and just hear me yell from the house. And everyone's like, well, we're done. We're just standing there in the pitch dark. Well, we're done.
Oh my God.
And then the lights would come back on. Everybody turn their amps off real quick, right? And then because the switch was at the house. And so you're done. He did not enjoy that at all,
As you guys got closer later on and the band was taking off and you were doing a lot of travel, did Dad come out and check out the shows and kind of see what you had made?
No,
Really?
no, he never did. Because we were still that headbanger bullshit,
Wow.
that
Yeah.
long-haired bullshit,
Oh, that's
he didn't get it. He didn't get it
unfortunate.
at all. But years later, probably about 2012, 13, when JFK had really blown up, we were doing an amphitheater show, and I asked Dad to come out, and he brought his horrible wife with him.
Ooh.
And they came out and they did a standing ovation for my father.
Wow.
He's the original JFK.
Right. Well,
Jack Francis Kinney.
the original?
Yeah, Jack Francis Kinney.
Yeah.
Kinney.
Right?
Right?
Well, some might say that a different JFK was the original, but
No. Jack's the original. See, we're people think it's Kennedy on our. It's not, and it's funny
Yeah.
because they actually my great grandfather was a James Francis,
Okay.
and my dad's dad was a Jack Francis.
Okay.
And my dad was a Jack Francis. I'm Joel Franklin.
Okay.
And but my dad comes to the show. He was so blown away. There was like 1,800 people
Yeah.
at this amphitheater. He was just like. I remember watching, somebody took a picture of him and he was just standing there in awe.
That's
of course,
great.
looking at all the hot girls, right?
Okay.
He's standing there in awe,
Dad.
just like,
Dad came to
I could
perv on your
just
crowd. That's
oh,
great.
yeah, oh,
With his
he
horrible wife.
loved it. He loved
Th
it, but he was just in awe of like, "Oh my god, my son built this,"
Yeah.
and he was so vocal about it. I would hear him
Oh,
brag, which he never did when we
oh,
were young. And he enjoyed the perks of it because anytime we'd play, we'd be setting up, he'd come down, they'd give him a free dinner, free lunch,
wow,
but he wouldn't stay for the show. But he finally caught this show,
wow.
and dad was through. He'd shove those earplugs in, and
Yeah, man.
but he enjoyed it. He saw a couple shows, just a couple, but I'm glad that he did.
Yeah,
It meant a lot to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, as a young musician, right? That's the thing oftentimes you want the most. It's just the appreciation of what you've built from your parents, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of namesake, Todd Catcher here in the chat. He's asking if you're related to Driving and Crying's Kevin Kinney. Any relation?
Oh,
No?
no.
All
No,
right.
that's a great band,
It
Driving and
is.
Crying.
Yeah,
Aren't they from the South? Yeah?
I think so. Yeah.
Georgia or something?
That
Yeah, yeah.
sounds
No, they were just snarly.
yeah, man.
They were like an old Marshall,
That
man, just snarly.
Speaking of Marshalls, man, like, you got the gear back here. One thing that one
Yeah.
thing that your beautiful, mug is obscuring is that rack of guitars back there. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
I've seen that beautiful golden, Les Paul in a bunch of pictures, but
Oh,
I
Gold
see
Top is
that
gorgeous.
it looks to me like maybe that, oh, you've got several different eras of the Van Halen Frankenstrats back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, sadly, the Bumblebee is the only one I own. Ooh, you can't see it, but there is it right
yeah.
there. The wood grain one. That is going to become the Unchained guitar, the Eddie Circles guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, I put it together for the show because I needed something you could do drop D.
Yeah.
They'd have those detuna things, but those things they don't work
Sure.
right. You loosen it up and the whole thing goes out of pitch. But the Frankenstrat belongs to Ron Mincer, and then the white and black belongs to my buddy Randy Cutter. They let us borrow them for the Van Halen
That's
show.
cool.
Sadly, I have to give them back,
Yeah.
but
I had Tom Weber, Eddie's guitar tech on the show a couple of years ago, and had these
how
incredible
cool.
stories, man, about
Oh,
working with Eddie.
oh,
And even when he came in and hearing Eddie, working on playing like Spanish Fly, and how just incredible it was to walk in and see this. But
ridiculous.
and I also had Randy Hansen on. I'm sure you know Randy, right? So
Oh, we've opened for Randy 2 or 3 times. Love Randy
oh my
Hansen. You know
God.
what? Randy Hansen is so I want to say something about Randy Hansen. First of all, the greatest Jimi Hendrix
Oh yeah.
impressionist. He's better than Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix. I mean, because he doesn't make any
Right.
mistakes.
Yeah.
He doesn't sing flat.
Right.
He hits but it's like Jimmy on steroids. Jimmy wasn't always
Sure. Well,
on.
he's also
There were
super
times
young and hammered, right? So
Jimmy was
yeah.
really checked out, especially later. You can see he's just miserable, right? Especially that Isle of Wight
Mm,
performance. It's just not pretty.
right.
But Randy is on.
Yeah.
I've seen Randy back when I saw Randy back in the 80s. I saw Randy in the 90s. And then, of course, we opened for him in 2007 twice in Salem. But I got to tell you something about Randy Hansen. We were doing original stuff when JFK first got back together in 2007, 2008. We were doing some covers, but we were doing mostly originals. And Randy we were playing a club in Salem called Lefties. And Randy came all the way around. There's a little mezzanine on the side. And that was, I now play stage right, but in those days I played stage left. And Randy comes up the mezzanine and we're getting ready to do our last tune. And Randy's right there. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? It's like there's a little half wall right there next to the mezzanine. And he waves me over. He goes, hey. So I lean over and he puts his hand on, he shakes my hand. He goes, God, Joel, you guys are so good.
Oh man.
Thank you so much for doing the show.
Mm,
And I'm just like,
right.
what national act?
Right.
Like during the show,
Yeah. Right.
who
Well,
the humility that this guy had.
incredible. I mean, the two things I think about that, because after I did the show, Like everybody came out of the woodwork. Batten was talking about how she saw him in upstate New York in the 70s. I watched videos of Steve Vai revering Randy, talking about how he was iconic and how he worshiped watching Randy when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
Randy told the story about playing. They were doing a tour and they played the whiskey and they're upstairs in the dressing room at the whiskey. And security walks in and brings in Eddie Van Halen, Alex Van Halen, Michael Anthony, saying, "Hey, dude, what were you doing? You were standing on your guitar. You were slamming and it never went out of tune." And he goes, "Oh
No.
yeah? You want to know what that is? Meet our tour manager and sound guy, Floyd Rose. He built this for me." And Eddie's like, "I need this." So that's where he discovered the Floyd Rose
Oh,
tremolo was Randy
wow.
Hansen,
I've
man.
never
No,
heard that story.
crazy. I didn't know either. Yeah, but
Because I've seen Randy play a few shows with a Floyd on a Strat way back.
Yeah.
Now he figures out how to make him stay in tune now.
yeah,
But
it's crazy.
wow,
Yeah, man. I mean,
love Randy Hansen.
you know, so the influences, right? It's super cool to see these guys. But I think about Randy and how humble. You talked about his humility being, important. You wonder. I don't know. Well, and actually, so Jeff Pilson also was on the show, and he was in Randy's band before Doc and before all those bands.
God, I didn't know that.
And Jeff was talking about how he said Randy's like one of the most gifted people on the planet, the kindest person you've ever met. Randy was talking about riding his bicycle like 15, 20 miles in the Seattle area now. Like this is like a year ago to go see his granddaughter play soccer. And he's an older gentleman, right? But he's he's just so real.
70.
And you wonder if some of that cost him the who knows? I mean, it cost him the recognition nationally, internationally that would get him to that next level, just by being kind and, because the rock stars that you think of that are aloof, the unapproachable Bonos of the world, like you're not going to find Bono, talking to Dirk Sullivan outside the Sphere without security. But you would hope.
I was so when Dirk sent me that text, I was so confused of what I'm looking at. I'm just like, wait, that doesn't look like, is that Bono?
Right.
What?
I mean, it's a great impersonator. Guys, if you're watching, and Joel and I were joking about this. I just came back from the Sphere. I was in Vegas over Valentine's Day with my girlfriend. We went to go see U2 play, and incredible show. The Sphere was off the charts, man, the coolest thing. But our friend Dirk Sullivan was there like the week before, and he shot video outside the Sphere. There was a Bono impersonator, and he looked good. But he's walking around, milling around, taking selfies with people. And Dirk was like, "Oh my God, I couldn't believe there's no security." He was so down to earth, man. He just came up and God bless Dirk Sullivan. I love him so much, and I thought, well, good for you, buddy, for dragging Bono out of his cloud,
Dirk, for in those who don't know, Dirk is an incredible guitar player who was in the group Love on Ice.
Yeah. I had Dirk on the show too. I'm a massive fan, man. Not just of Love on Ice, but Dirk Sullivan is one of the most talented people I know, and also very humble, man. And damn him for being so damn good looking.
Yeah, I know he is. He is. Oh, speaking of which, where is it? One of these Marshalls, one of these the Plexi that's right there.
Yeah,
that was Dirk Sullivan's Plexi.
Oh man, you can almost see
the real 69.
You can see the spray paint on the side. It might have been Love on Ice. Other legends, man. I mean, we talked Lebanski earlier too. I hadn't been in the Portland area when Lebanski was big, right? I moved to Portland. I was playing in a band in the West Side and played on an original band called Analama back in the 90s.
I remember Analama.
It was a great band, dude.
Wait, we opened for you guys.
Which band?
Analama.
No, what was your band?
It would have been Thunder Jelly, man.
Oh man, I bet maybe Groovacious Platters or
No, at the West Side. We played with you.
That doesn't surprise me.
That is where I met you for the first time.
1994, 1995.
That was it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Thunder Jelly, man. I think I still have the poster.
Really? Oh, I might get a copy of that from you at some point. It was a great band, but I had heard about Lebanski at that point. When I left the band in 98, I get a call from Jeff Lebanski. He said, "I just got done with this record. Eric Singer on drums, and Tommy Thayer, of course, he'll produce the record, and I need a drummer."
Velvet Crush.
Oh, that was your band, Velvet Crush?
No. Velvet Crush was the record.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The Lubansky record
Okay.
with Tommy Thin.
Oh,
Oh, or was that the 28
28
If?
F. Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But I went down to LA. He called me when I was on the way to the airport. I went to the NAMM show, ran into Eric Singer, and I said, "Hey, this guy Lubansky called me." And he goes, "Oh yeah, dude, awesome." I said, "Well," he called me looking for a drummer, and I didn't know what style Jeff was. I thought he was like a shredder. I totally
Oh,
thought he was like
oh,
this Yngwie guy, and I was
right,
not
right,
interested in playing that kind of stuff. And he's like,
right.
"No, dude, he is like a cross between Cheap Trick meets John Lennon meets, you know, Jellyfish, you know." And I was like,
Yeah,
"Wow,
that's a great
okay."
description.
And came back and started playing with him for a while. And he's one of those guys like, you know, so talented, so incredibly
Yeah,
talented, and didn't quite get the international recognition that you would think, right? Because he was in the right circles, man. He played with Black and Blue for a
yeah,
while, and the Kiss
yeah.
guys were all aware of his stuff. And you wonder, right? I mean, you think about people and what roll of the dice certain people get because you got to have the chops, right? You got to have the chops.
Well, and he did any of the
Right.
songwriting
Yep.
chops,
Yeah.
man.
The hooks were all there, man. You know, but what is it about like a Jeff Levansky, do you think, that just didn't get him to the next level? I have my own opinions about where he didn't get out of his own way, right? You know, but
Yeah. I mean, uh, I don't know, man. It's you. There's always been those amazing, like King's X is the
oh
perfect
yeah,
example. The greatest band that no one knows about.
right.
And when I say no one knows, I mean
Musicians
they
know.
have
Musicians, yeah,
musicians know, but they never took off.
yeah,
And you're just like, how is this even humanly
right.
possible?
Yeah,
I got to tell you, I'm a huge Lubansky
me
fan.
too.
The songs are so good. His lyrics are great. I mean, but his chops were
Yeah.
great. I apparently he was offered Ace's position way back in the day,
Wow.
and but he wanted to do his solo
Mm.
thing, and that's the story I heard.
Well, he's been in line to come on the show. So Jeff, come on the show and tell me the story about Ace Frehley.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah,
And you have him tell
yeah,
you
that'd be
what
fun.
he thinks has kept him from taking off,
He would
but
probably say
he's
that
so
too.
good.
You know, we've all, I mean, admittedly, you know, he'll talk a little, you know, about struggles and, you know, like, you know,
Sure.
the party certainly got in his way sometimes, but
Yeah.
I, I've always been just blown away by, you know, you talk about effortless playing, you know, he's one of those guys where
Sure.
he has the show part of it, the whole thing that he does, you know,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
this thing, that,
Oh yeah, that whole
the,
thing. Yeah.
but,
It's the head the wait, hold on, I'm doing it the wrong.
oh, there it
And then
is.
you do
Oh,
the yeah, that's it. Yeah, you got to do the twirl because he's doing a little pull off. God, I'm just having a hard time getting keeping on
No,
camera here,
this is good,
but yeah,
man.
and then
I
yeah.
it'll be interesting because a lot of the people that are in the chat know Jeff, and they've seen Jeff play,
Oh, they all know this, all
of
this.
course.
Yeah,
Uh, when I had, like, certain artists on, I've talked about their Mount Rushmore of artists, you know? Sometimes it's tough, man, if I just throw it at somebody and put them on the spot, but I know that having talked to you enough about maybe some obscure artists and then some commercial ones, um, I'm a massive Big Wreck fan. This band from Canada, like, I think they're the greatest sort of undiscovered band. They've been around since '98, and Rick Beato just did an episode on his YouTube
oh,
channel with
I gotta watch this.
last night, and I'm like, okay, it's awesome because people are going to start finding out about him finally.
Right,
But
right.
I also kind of don't want them to, you know. I kind of like having him, you know,
Yeah.
but as far as Mount Rushmore guys go, because you have drawn from so many influences, give me your Mount Rushmore band. I want your singer, drummer, guitarist, and bass player.
Oh, you mean put together like a super
Yeah,
band, super
yeah. Give me
group?
Joel Kinney's
Oh
supergroup. You're the
gosh.
manager, and you assemble
Okay.
the perfect band.
Okay, so there's only one guitar player. That would be Edward Van
There you
Halen.
go. Heard of him?
And then yep, and then bass and vocals would be Doug Pinnick.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You're gonna have a three
Uh,
piece.
tr- yeah, I would absolutely. Drummer would probably be Kevin Rankin. You ever heard of him?
Yeah. No, come on, man. I no. See,
You know, I'm trying to think here. I have some drummers that I just absolutely love. You know, oh man, I don't know, man. I think I'm kind of excited about the possibility of Doug. And what I love about Doug, obviously, you get that Sly Stone, soulful vocal
Yeah.
thing, but he can also do the metal thing too.
Yeah.
Eddie, because he just covers
Right.
everything, but also Doug's playing is so Paul
Right.
McCartney, and so it is ridiculous. I was thinking Tomorrow Never Knows with Doug, because he has do 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 do
Yeah.
do do. He just has that thing. Drum wise, though, man, I don't know. I think Dean.
Oh God. Yeah.
Could you imagine those three?
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Well, so
Because
since
and
Eddie,
then Dean can do all the killer harmonies
yes.
for
Oh
Doug.
my God, man.
And then it'd be a shred fest, but they could also write these incredible, reel it in and write these incredible songs. And
I love
I
that.
feel bad. I feel bad excluding other people, and it's funny. I've never to the second thought
Yeah.
about any sort of Mount Rushmore, super
That's
group. But yeah,
that's a good one.
Dean on drums, Panic on bass vocal, and Eddie on guitar.
Panic, you're not the first to say that Doug was their guy to be, combo bass and vocals. I think, if I remember, I could be wrong, man. I think Todd LaTorre might have said something like that, when I had him on from Queensryche. But it was somewhere in there. Maybe Brian Allen, one of those guys. But I know Doug, he's one of those guys I've actually reached out to come on the show because, yes, they're a band that everybody should know about. They did play Woodstock 99, right? I mean, they got some huge visibility that way. But
and that never took off. And they have the best slot too.
Yeah, right.
I think Friday night, best slot.
But he's up there. The band's older. Jerry Gaskill, the drummers, had a couple of heart attacks, and that band, unfortunately, is probably not going to be around a long time. And I really want to know his story. For me, man, I was blown away that he came out right around that time, like Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. I think that era, he came out of the closet. He was a devout Christian.
Doug, yeah.
His whole family was devout Christian, and he was born again.
Right.
And he came out as a gay black man, and they completely ostracized him. They kicked him out of the church. He was totally like dumped from his familial connections, and it was so sad. I feel like probably drove so much more, sort of his heart in his music. It's crazy, man. But
well, he always writes from his experiences. I don't know if you haven't read it. Bart, I was talking about Bart Barkak, drummer, earlier. He bought me the Van Halen. I'm sorry, the King's X book, which is all just their own thoughts on every single song on every single record, and it is so deep. And they talk all about the heartache of of it not taking off.
Yeah.
And they did everything right, and they got on all these incredible tours. They were on. I saw them open for AC/DC at the Moda Center, and that was an incredible. That was I think Faith, Hope, Love tour.
Oh, wow!
The opening for AC/DC, huge tours, and of course you have to. When you're on those tours, you're paying out. Right. You're not getting paid for those tours. Yeah, you have to pay to be on those tours, and there was mismanagement. But you know what, man? I get the impression that King's X was kind of cursed, even if Doug never would have come.
Right. Oh yeah.
I kind of feel like they were cursed no matter what.
Yeah.
But it definitely adds another component to it. That's for sure.
You just reminded me with Lubanski, we were opening for King's X at Burbati's Pan, and day of show, King's X had to cancel because they said Ty broke his arm or dislocated his shoulder, and we're the guitarist. And we were bummed. We went ahead and did the show anyway. And they showed up. Ty showed up in a sling, and they sat out in the front watching our set just to watch the band. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's incredible.
But what's your favorite King's X song? Can you come up with one?
You know what? Yeah. And it's one of the only ones that I play like acoustically. It's there's only one, man. And it's Goldilocks.
Oh my God, that's my tune. I swear to God, I was going to tell you that's my favorite. It makes me cry. It's here.
I know.
It's here in
I can't believe summer's almost here.
It's in my emote playlist. That's nuts.
Oh wow. Yeah, man, Goldilocks. And believe me, man, we covered Moan Jam, we covered King, Visions. We would end Thunder Jelly.
Oh,
Back when we opened with Onalama, we closed with Visions.
wow. Fester Poon in the YouTube chat here is saying Visions is theirs. I it's crazy, man. I mean, you seem to be, I think we're a lot alike, that music moves you so emotionally, right? When I hear Goldilocks, that song makes me cry. It's just
Oh yeah, buddy.
so beautiful, so much emotion, man. What's the last show you went to that brought tears to your eyes?
I would have said Steel Panther because I've never laughed.
That's awesome.
I just saw Panther in the summer at Crystal
Yeah.
Ballroom. Dirk was there. I turn around, there's Dirk. I knew you'd be here.
Yeah.
I've never been more entertained.
Yeah.
I sang every word to
Sure.
every song. They were so good.
Yeah, they're a great, great band,
funny, man. Funny. Oh, by the way, I'm a closet comedian. Like if I don't know if you've noticed this, but every musician secretly wants to be a comedian.
Yeah.
Every comedian secretly wants to be an actor,
Right.
and every actor secretly wants to be a musician.
Oh, buddy. Well, I've had this
right.
I've had this conversation with people a lot lately, and I feel bad because I'm getting snarky talking so much smack about these people. I'm having a tough time with the Corey Feldman thing, bro. It's so hard to watch. Like,
is it live or Memorex? Or is it, do you think it's real? A lot of people say it's an act.
It has to be. I mean, we gigged with him. We did shows with him, and his music director, this girl, Margaret Lane, was, I think, Juilliard grad, amazing violinist, and she was the music director in the band. She was the one person that had their stuff together, and she's like, "Get me out of this band. Find me another gig, bad." And
okay, so was she being
she was
serious, or was she playing
no, it was there was some insidious stuff going on. It wasn't just like it wasn't the campy stuff. It was, you know, there was other stuff going on. But I have a buddy, and I think you probably know him too, that's going back out playing drums on this next tour with him, and he was excited. And I told him, you know, be careful who you align yourself with, man, you know, because, you know, people are going to associate you and your abilities and your ethic with whoever you're playing with. And I think, you know, it's just hard to watch. I mean, it's, you know, he was.
Yeah, it rubs off. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, back to your question though. I don't get out and see a ton of shows, and people are always like, "Hey, you need to go to this and go to that show." Man, my life just, I run at such a high frequency that my lows are like, I just want to curl up with the dog.
Yeah.
With, you know, just be quiet.
Sure, man.
You know, that sort of thing. But I got to tell you, King's X was probably, I've had chills and tears watching King's X. I think King's X was probably the last one that I was just so incredibly moved at, especially singing when they do Goldilocks, and then the whole audience sings every word.
Man,
I love that.
I need to see them again now. Just thinking about it, I've seen them 4 or 5 times, and that you and I had chatted because I knew you're a huge Van Halen fan, and you had said the only band that I might be more impacted and influenced by is King's X. And I mean, just, you know, again, a 3-piece band that every person in the band is so perfect for the song, right? That band, the sum, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts in that band. They're all phenomenal. All 3 guys in that band are so great at what they do. I couldn't see Jerry Gaskell in another band. Ty Tabor really wouldn't work in another band. He might, you know, like, but they are just so right for each other.
One thing I noticed, Kevin, to interrupt real quick, is the love they have for each other. Because, man, you know, you've been in bands where you don't have chemistry with the players. You guys are just kind of just filling the role. And then you've had those experiences where you're in a band where everybody loves you. It's like we're all each other's ride or die, right? Man. What a difference that makes.
It's timely that you said that, because Mike Skill, I see you in the chat right there, bro. Mike is a dear friend, and we played a lot of music together. Most people know Mike as the guitarist from the Romantics, but he's such an amazing human being, man. And you know, like both sides of it, right? He's a formative member, the original member of the Romantics, primary songwriter. There's dissension that happened, and right now they're going through it all, and it breaks my heart to see,
Oh, it's so
dude,
sad.
it sucks. And so, Mike, I'm
Yeah.
here with you, dude. Solidarity. I'm grateful
Right.
to
Right.
have had your kind heart on stage, and man, you and I, last time you and I saw each other, Joel, if you remember, was outside walking out of a show. My favorite band from my childhood, Scorpions show, right? We were
Yeah,
walking,
they're right up there for me too.
and so that band affected me in such a huge way when I was a kid. Like, I went to Germany to find them when I was 18.
You
I
went to
I
Hanover.
did go to Hanover, actually, so I knew that Hanover and Cologne, like, original, hometown
Right.
guys. I didn't speak any German. My girlfriend, who became my wife, we went to all the head shops, so the music shops where they had the bootlegs, and I bought these bootleg records to carry in my backpack around Europe. And I went into the record store and I said, "Hey, I'm trying to find Scorpions. Is there any way, can you point me in the direction?" Right. And this is in 1988. This is really silly because this is like, Savage Amusement just prior, just after
Right.
that.
Right.
And the guy said, "Oh, Ulrich Roth lives over here." And so he gives me his address and phone number.
What?
And I call Uli Roth, and his wife says he doesn't talk to fans, but I was like,
Dark
I
Lady.
I wanted so badly just to tell them how much they meant to me, right? And I, so
Oh,
what
bless
the
your
show that I
heart,
saw
man.
you at, it was really great to see some redemption, that band where these guys are in their 70s and
Yeah.
Klaus
Yeah.
still sounded so good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's cool that, they got Mickey D on drums, and he's just a
Yeah.
great
Right.
breath of fresh air for that band. It really brings, the rock vibe back. And Matthias yesterday announced, or 2 days ago, right,
Oh, yeah.
that Love Drive is 45 years old.
45.
Yeah, man. What?
And Love Drive is like you. It's my favorite
Okay.
record. We cover Is Anybody There on there on
Really?
that.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I love it because I do the high harmony
Yeah.
stuff, and Lee, our singer, he's got such a great voice, and I love doing the harmonies on that because it's so Eastern European.
Yeah.
There's some Middle Eastern kind of vibe in that. It's got some
Yeah,
reggae
it
in that
does. Mhm.
song. Oh, but Matthias's guitar solo is
Mhm.
so soulful on that song, and
Oh.
I love playing it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, and part of that record, so I know that Michael was still playing with the
Oh,
band at that point too, right? So
he there's a source of contention. He wrote almost all
yeah,
of that
yeah.
record and did not get any credit.
It's a drag, man.
It's
We
yeah,
we could go down so much of the Scorpion story. I mean, like,
right.
Larry's here in the chat, and he knows we've had lots of conversations about Scorps and the history. Um, you know, it's really funny, man, because you and I were both, similar, I think, in age, fairly close, and we were such rabid music fans, right? So those bands mean,
Right.
and as we get up, as we get older and we're professionals, I'm still that giddy little kid that wants to let Klaus know how much his music meant to
Right.
me.
Right.
You want,
Well, there's such an emotional
yeah,
component. So that show, right? I just saw you at the
yeah.
show, I got this incredible seats. My girlfriend at the time, we got these incredible seats, and we're like the front corner,
Oh,
stage right.
wow.
We're right there, and Klaus tosses a stick, and I catch it and give it to her, right? But then the second time, later in the show, he looks right at me, he points right at me, and then and he and toss it right too. I have it over here on my
Oh,
bookshelf, man.
nice.
So I got the drumstick from that he was whacking on the.
The
That
cowbell.
was it was such a great show,
God,
man. Such a great show.
it's amazing.
And of course, Matthias still looks like he's in his
How
40s.
does that work, man? And Rudolph, even though,
Oh,
like, he's great, but dude, he's chiseled and just, shirtless and
no, they work out like
yeah.
crazy, man. They work out like crazy.
Honestly, thinking about guys that have gotten in their way, I mentioned that James Kotak, his tenure in the band, it was super hard for me to watch his demise,
Yeah,
and I've talked to a lot of people, musicians that knew I had some history with James, um, and knows his widow, I mean, Athena, Tommy Lee's sister, um, posted something about, this, how he essentially really left behind. Unfortunate, that he never got to meet his granddaughters or grandkids
Oh,
and his
that's too
kids.
bad.
The thing is about legacy is that everything that came out when Kotak died a couple months ago, it was all about how he ruined these festivals, ruined these shows, and going to jail, getting kicked out of the
Oh,
Scorpions. Nobody
oh,
talked about contributions 20 years of the Scorpions or even Kingdom Come and the stuff that he did before. And
sure,
it's
sure.
so unfortunate, right? That
Yeah.
that addiction can go back and affect somebody's legacy like that. And I ask people a lot about legacy, and really, I mean, this is a great way to maybe, I hate to put you on the spot, but as you look back on your final years, as JFK is, looking back over his magical lifetime, what is it that you would want to be remembered for?
Oh man. I was just thinking about this actually 2 days ago, believe it or not. Um, we talk about this. I don't, I'm 57 now. I don't know how many more years I can continue to hammer my body like this because it's not. I remember that, the day you show up with a half
Yeah.
stack and a couple guitars, put your pedal board down. When JFK does a show, we do all our own production. So I'm bringing in a massive PA rig. I mean, it takes us 6 hours just to load the trucks.
Wow. Oh my
I mean,
God.
it's like we take more gear than oh, hold on a second. I just unplugged something here. Hold on. We take more gear than most touring bands do. Full light rig, walls of Marshall amps, and I know less than 7 or 8 guitars because they all
Wow.
have a different voice. They all sound different because we do 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
We don't take a
Right.
break, and we cover everything from Angel City to to Van Halen, AC/DC, Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
We kind of run the gamut, right? Blondie,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It's such a massive thing. I mean, it's like we don't play every weekend because I physically couldn't do
Yeah.
it. I'm, my body takes about a week to recover,
Right.
and then you're going back, right? But I I have to say I'm gonna do this until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it till the wheels fall off because I don't know any other
Yeah.
way. It's like I'm never going to be, like I said, the guy with a little amp on the chair. It's all about the show. And I
Yeah.
I hope if for anything, it's funny. This is a very complex answer to a very simple question, um, but my reasons are very complex. It all goes back to I used to entertain my mom and dad and my sisters hearth in our fireplace in front of our right by the TV, and it had this like the hearth stuck out about 1.5 feet and it was about 6 feet long, and I would jump up there and recreate comedy bits that I would have seen, and I kind of make them my own off of Laugh-In, the Flip Wilson show, and I would do the whole "Here Come to Judge, Here Come to Judge," all that
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
and my mom and dad would just laugh hysterically. And that's when I knew I wanted to like entertain, right?
Mm.
And I wanted to entertain not because I necessarily wanted the attention, but it was the reaction, seeing like you do something that brings joy to people. So I've always been sort of a
Yeah.
community builder, right? It's like everything I do that I invest in, I do it because I want to throw the party, not so everybody can tell me what a
Yeah.
great bitching guy I am, but I want to throw the party because I want everybody to have a freaking great time. And then
Oh,
go,
nice.
God, do you remember when we had that time? That was the coolest thing. Because I know what those moments mean to me.
Yeah.
Like for example, when I went and saw Steel Panther, I
Yeah.
was like, I've never had so much fun at a concert in my life.
Yeah.
And like everything I do that you invest in, I want to remember that because again, I think you and I are very similar. Music is such a deeply emotional thing for
Yeah.
us, right? It invokes this deep emotion. Well, I don't just want music to do that. I want food to
Yeah.
invoke a deep emotion or that dinner party, right?
Yeah.
or that fishing trip, or that time you went and shot machine guns, or that concert you put on, or what. I want it all to, because man, I'll tell you what, my dad was many things. He was a very flawed man, but my dad was excruciatingly sentimental. And I am too. And what's cool about that is it makes, I just want to be remembered for something good.
Mm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That I leave a legacy where like I made a difference.
Yeah.
Because look, I was never going to be the best athlete, never going to be the best guitar player. But I'm like, you know what I can be though? I can be a nice guy. I have the ability to be a nice guy, decent guy. And I have the ability to make somebody laugh. And I have ability to kind of build something. And so that's where all of that's born from. It's not so people can pat me on the back, because I don't know. I think most normal people, that's a little awkward.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a little uncomfortable. But if you sit back and just watch, it's the whole "you build it, they'll come" thing, right? But to be able to build that thing and have people just go, "That was incredible."
Yeah.
That's what I want to be remembered for. Just that I gave people a good time, and helped them create memories. You know what I mean?
Well, that.
I hope that came across well.
Well, it is what I've known about you and from you, that the first times that we got to meet each other, I'd heard that reputation about you. It's great that that was what preceded the meeting. And I do feel like that's the Joel Kinney that I've gotten to know. So you're on the right trajectory, man. I think it's
Thanks,
good
man.
stuff.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I know. I appreciate that very, very much. And I'm really actually very humbled that you'd have me on the show. It's just the list of talent and people that you've been able to interview is just it's amazing. And to just be able to be here is incredible.
I like real people. That's the thing, man. I really do like real conversation. And I'm excited tomorrow morning. Like I said, I've got Delana on tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And I was in Delana's band for a while. And when I left, I was, there was just like an awkwardness. And she's one of the most gifted people on the planet. And I'm really looking forward to talking to her about legacy. I think it's important. And she became a mom since I'd seen her last, and I know that affected her in a huge way. You talk about the relationship with your dad and how it affected and sort of formed the person that you were, and
Sure.
The way that we pattern our life wanting to impress and get adoration from our parents, or at least an appreciation for what we do. I'm in a weird place in my life, man, where I look back at that. I think you are too, right? When you do some self-reflection online, you and I talked about that. You're not looking for people to weigh in and offer, some kudos, for your stories. But your self-reflection is in hopes that people can either relate or maybe grow and learn from something like that,
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm grateful that you do that. I really do feel like that self-reflection is important. As men, sometimes you might get dogged for being, an emotional human being, but I think, but that's real, and that's why I want you on the show, because I appreciate your vulnerability, and accountability is always really important. I see a lot of that too. When I talked to other friends that were part of your Van Halen show that you put on about a month ago, it looked like a huge success. I know it was a massive endeavor, and they all said that very thing about you, that you really put on one hell of a party, man. So congratulations to that.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And I couldn't have done that without those guys. What an amazing group of dudes. And, Kevin, I got to tell you, I have a lot of guys that reached out to me that want to be on. They're like, dude, I want to be on the bill. I want to do this. And a lot of, God bless them, a lot of them are people I've never met. I don't know them from Adam. We've never even had a conversation. What makes this Van Halen thing so meaningful, and this is kind of why I've handpicked, well, this is exactly why I've handpicked the specific guys that are on the bill, is because we either bonded over Van Halen, we've, and to be honest with you, there's a couple of people I'd love to have on the show. One of them is this guy, Jim Gaustad, who's this Van Halen guru. I'm trying to get him to fly in from Tennessee.
Nice.
And he said if he had it on, was able to do it schedule wise, that he would be interested. The guy just shreds Van Halen so perfectly. As a matter of fact, I do want to hit on him before we get off, but it wouldn't be this Van Halen thing wouldn't be what it is. I mean, I don't want all the guys that play in the Van Halen tributes on this, but then because they already do the Van Halen.
Sure.
No, other than Jimmy Smalls, right?
Yeah.
I want like guys that are my bros.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys that I bonded with
Sure.
over Van Halen, not just a guy that can shred. Well, because so many guys can shred. As a matter of fact, there's many players that are way better than some of us who are on the show that hack through the Van Halen stuff.
Sure.
But the spirit, man.
Yeah.
It's about the spirit. It's
Amen.
about the chemistry and the chemical reaction. One of my favorite parts of the Van Halen, that whole Van Halen, and it's a Van Halen memorial show, okay?
Right.
Is the hang for 3 days. We rehearsed that week right where I'm at right now, in my living room. And there's a bunch of JFK beer, and there's some tequila usually, and the guys are sitting here cheering on each other. And I've got it. I still have it. I can't bring myself to take the schedule down. I've got this giant spreadsheet, all the songs broken into parts, who plays on what. And all right, Paul Lawrence, Don Graham, and Bart, and Jared Venti, you're up.
Nice. Oh, that's
And then the guy, we're all hanging out in the living room, and we're all sitting around cheering each other on.
That's cool.
And when shit is just spot on and mind blowing, guys are like applauding and laughing, and it's just the coolest thing. And here's what's really cool: these guys who've never met each other before.
Oh yeah.
They're all now friends on Facebook, and they're hanging out. And as a matter of fact, somebody went. Oh, Kelly Lemieux was in Montana, and him and Bart got together.
Oh, nice.
When Buck Cherry was coming through, and now they're buddies. It is crazy. Again, you sit back and you just build it, and they kind of do it, and I love that, man.
You talk about the camaraderie. I was in band with Jim Smoltz for a while. Did the Jovi tribute. One of the greatest people I've ever been in a band with. I love that man. Such a good human being, man.
And what a shredder, and so humble.
Totally humble. Yeah, he's a very down to earth. He's like the guy that you felt like he was your brother. Even though you weren't related, brother from another mother. You mentioned that you wanted to touch on somebody before we jumped.
Yeah. So obviously I'm I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but I'm a big Marshall amplifier guy. I even have the tattoo on my arm. Nice. So I'm a big Marshall guy. Getting into this whole Van Halen thing, with music, it's not just you play the notes, you play through, there's so many components to get the sauce just right. Right. A part of that, aside from the chops and the playing, is having people that have come into your life that, and that's kind of how I met Dirk Sullivan. I was a super fan, and I tried to find him forever. Finally found him on Facebook, sent him this message on Facebook Messenger. Hey man,
hey, dude, you up?
What?
He said, you up?
Yeah, you right? You up? Yeah. So I go, can I call you? And he thought I was some weird stalker.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of the same friends. Like,
sure.
A lot of the guys that I jammed with him played with him. And so Dirk and I became really great. And now we're like best of friends, right? Yeah. And I was a super fan, right? But
easy to be.
Yeah, I discovered Jim Gaustad's YouTube channel where he breaks down every Van Halen record. And the amps, the guitars, the pickups, the signal chain, what they did in the studio, the mic placement, the type of speakers, the way they put deep dive stuff. And like Pete Thorne and Friedman, they've had Jim was on Tone Talk with Friedman recently. Jim's kind of this, he's kind of this guru. Well, he is this guru. And so him and I become really good friends because he had a Pyrenees. I had a Pyrenees. They
Oh,
passed away a week of each other, our
oh,
Great Pyrenees dogs. So we're both just crying on the
oh,
phone, right?
buddy.
But he is this big guru. And so he's helping me get my amps dialed back in to the right specs like Eddie, because he knows all the stuff. And so
Wow, nice.
I become like this amp guy who I'm like putting components and parts in, but he's really helped me hone in and get the, like, for example, where am I at right there? That red thing right there, that's
Yeah.
a Variac. And that has changed my guitar tone and helping me dispel some myths. But part of getting that Van Halen experience right,
Yeah.
it's getting the gear right.
Yeah.
And I don't
I'm
know if
sh-
you know this, Kevin, but everybody plays through the same thing. They just come up with
oh,
their guitar. I give them a wireless pack. We turn the one off. You're on. They all play through the same rig.
nice. That's cool.
There's
That helps.
and it is the most dialed in Van Halen guitar
Wow.
tone. And, you know, Eddie was all about tone, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
I want to give a huge shout out to Jim because he's really been instrumental in helping me kind of hone in that whole Van Halen thing.
Right on.
And you know, because you always have questions and you're always a student, you're always learning,
Yeah.
right?
One would hope, right? Yeah. I mean, when you stop even trying, then we just, we don't grow, So I, dude, I have learned and been influenced in a lot of ways, man. Like I said, I totally appreciate your vulnerability and your honesty online. It's my only hope is that one of these days we get to just share a stage together. It'd be
Oh,
fun. Just
well, maybe if you're not on tour next year during the Van
yeah.
Halen, it'll be third
Oh
annual Van Halen. It's always on his birthday. It's always
God.
late January. If you can bust out, get to come home and visit family, or if there's friends here you want to see, buddy, you got 3-4 songs waiting for you in that
Oh,
set list.
I would love it, man. That'd be
Yeah,
so fun. There's, as a drummer, I have always felt like Alex Van Halen is one of the most underappreciated drummers on the planet.
1000%.
Unbelievable drummer, man. There's stuff that I hear, I'm thinking, how did conceptually, the stuff he came up with just doesn't seem right, at all, man. But he's such a musical dude. When I hear his like Mean Street, the drum pattern on that with the kick pattern on the up,
Yeah.
and like a lot of the stuff that he swings, like when you're playing like center swing and
Oh,
like
we talked about this. Alex, there's swing in
everything.
everything he does.
Yeah.
And that comes from it's all in the DNA and genes
Right.
of Jan Van Halen,
Right.
who
Yeah.
was a big band guy.
Right. Yeah.
Buddy,
Absolutely.
everything. And you know what? I always laugh at these drummers that like diss on Alex.
Mm.
And I'm like, yeah,
They don't know.
try and play it, bro.
Right. Let's
No,
hear it.
they don't. They mail in whatever they think their interpretation is.
Right.
But when they really have to play it, I'll tell you what, Michael Lowry, our drummer, Michael Lowry and Bart Barkak, they both come and do that. They both have such a love for Alex and such an appreciation to get these parts. Mike just nails Alex's stuff.
God,
yeah.
man.
And what I love is when musicians are like enthusiastic
Yeah.
about nailing that stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's the commitment's there, but it shows some reverence, it shows some respect for the dude that put it down.
And Alex is, there's nobody like him, man.
Yeah. And everything I hear, I had heard about when they were talking about reforming and going back out, and Wolfgang was out there and they were talking about maybe having, Roth show up for a show or whatever, but it was going to be Sammy. And Alex just didn't want to do it, man. He just, he's like, his bro's gone. There's no point. Doesn't want to play anymore, and I get it. But I just, rest in peace, Eddie. Yeah. And honestly, what a gift he brought and his brother brought, and now his kids bringing. I'm grateful that Wolfgang's out there, like just doing it right, so let's go to a Mammoth show one of these days if we can.
We have to. I wanted to go to the show. I couldn't. I had a previous thing that I could not get out of. You know what? You asked me, when was the last show I cried at?
Yeah.
I was moved to tears. It was last year's Van Halen show.
The Mammoth show?
No, no,
Oh, your Van
our
Halen show.
tribute show,
Okay,
when
yeah.
the intro, and nobody gets to play Eruption, by the way.
Okay.
The intro is his white and black striped Strat on a stand, center stage, spotlights, Eruption plays to the audience,
Okay.
full volume, like
Nice. Yeah.
120 dB, right?
Yeah.
And then we come into the intro, Running with the Devil, the car horns, right?
Yeah.
And I remember side stage waiting, and as it's playing, and the place is packed, and everybody is there for the unified one reason of loving Edward Van Halen, right?
Yeah.
And I am like, I'm getting all choked up. But at the end, we were supposed to have the sound guy, Corey Nolan, great sound guy, by the way. He was supposed to play the recording of Happy Trails, and then everybody would just sing along, right? Well, the Wi-Fi died,
Oh
and he
no.
couldn't in the yard. And it started, and then it went off, and he's like, shit, because he was using my laptop. Now I have 2 laptops, but he was using my laptop for all the playback stuff, Eruption, Running with the Devil. So Kelly Lemieux jumps on the mic. He goes, you know what? Fuck it, Joel. Let's sing it a cappella.
Nice, man.
And we sang it.
Good
We sang
job,
it a
Lemieux.
cappella. We sang it. And I'm looking at the audience, and people have tears in their eyes. And there's this giant banner of Eddie almost doing the splits. He's leaning back. He's got the shark, right?
Yeah.
First tour, 2 spotlights. And I'm looking at the audience, and people are arm in arm, rocking back and forth, tears streaming down their faces. This is the audience.
God, that's great.
And I'm looking at my bandmates, everybody all arm around it, and I'm fighting the tears.
Nice.
That the beauty of that moment, and that Eddie meant so much to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, it's not even close to debate. I mean, Jimi Hendrix, obviously huge influence, but sure. Eddie just took it to the 20th power, man.
Right. Yeah, man. Not gonna find hardly anybody to disagree with that. Anybody that knows, But well, dude, I'm grateful. Like I said, man, I'm hopeful that you and I get a chance to play on stage. If not the Van Halen Memorial, we'll do it somehow. Get Thunder Jelly and Analama tracks back together.
Yeah, we've talked about doing a reunion, but I do want to mix the second Thunder Jelly record. We never completed. We recorded that down at Gung Ho in Eugene. Billy Barnett. Did you know Billy Barnett down at Gung Ho?
I didn't.
He did all the Cherry Poppin' Daddies albums. Zoot Suit Riot. He did Sweaty Nipples down, and we tracked down there, and then we mixed and did guitar solos up and vocals up here in Salem at the studio I used to work at. And then Kevin Netlingham, he mastered it.
Yeah,
but we did 2 albums at the same time.
Really?
We did all the bed tracks, and the better of the 2 records was the second album, and we never finished it.
Wow.
And I have the masters, and I want to take that up to the map chart room. The chart room, is that in Portland, where they got the chart room, the map room? The map room, yeah. Because we have to bake those 2-inch masters, because they were sloughing off. But I want to get our singer to put his vocals on there, and I want to recut those guitar solos. But I really do want to release that. I'm hoping before 2024 is over to put some new music out. And
right on.
Yeah,
we'll tell Roth, that there's still an opportunity for him to have he can open up for Thunder Jelly on the 2024 tour. So.
Oh my God, Dave. Yeah. Oh, what a shit show, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm talking about somebody who gets in their own way, but I'm glad Sammy's out doing it.
No, Sammy's doing great, man.
Totally.
I want to meet him so bad. I was never a fan with Sammy with Van Halen, not because I didn't like Sammy, but because I thought Eddie didn't play with the same ferocity.
Sure.
And the songs were much more safe and predictable. I just, it's the whole Guns N' Roses / Axl tension thing.
Right.
The Brian May, Freddie Mercury tension thing.
Yeah.
It causes this. There's a ferocity that it causes.
Right. but Sammy on his own would be a great hang. I mean, he's a
Oh,
bucket list for me. I just want to jump
yeah.
on stage with him one time before I die, you know. But
Love, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Joel Kinney, dude, it really has been a great pleasure, and all of you guys in the chat, man, it's really been fun to watch you guys banter back and forth about Van Halen
Oh,
and
I can't wait to see
Scorpions,
the
and
chat. I can't wait to see
yeah,
the chat. I
it's
can't see where I'm at.
yeah, most of you guys are on YouTube, which is great. If you got here late, you guys go back and watch so much fun stuff. This guy, Joel Kinney, has a fun experience of lots of experiences in the Salem, Oregon area. Good stuff, man. I mean, it's all real, all authentic, you know.
Oh,
Um,
thanks, man.
tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Pacific, man, I got Delana. We'll be right back here in like 16 hours. So I'm looking forward to that. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, better do so, and then share this around, because people need to know about the JFK show coming up at the Grand Theater on
Oh,
Saturday. You guys have a great day. Joel, it's great to see you, man.
thank
And
you. Thank you, man. It's
yeah,
been so fun. I loved it. I loved it.
me too, my
I
friend.
need to now have you on my podcast show.
Yep.
I gotta interview you now.
I'm set up for it, man. So just say the word.
Yeah, apparently I am too. So we could
There
do
you
this.
go. All right, brother. Take care, man. Thanks so much. And
Thanks, man.
everybody, thank you for being here as well.